Now that Hillary Clinton is almost assured of securing the Democratic nomination, millions of independent and undecided voters are going to start looking for evidence to shape their judgment about her in the fall. To predict how her presidency might look, the 2,364 votes that she cast in Congress are perhaps the best available, measurable evidence from her long career in public life. Clinton spent 8 years as a senator from New York, and that's a longer run in Congress than any person who's been elected president since Lyndon Johnson half a century ago. By and large, her voting record reflected a center-left and slightly hawkish ideology, really quite comparable to the way she's been representing herself as a candidate this year. She voted with today's Democratic mainstream far more often than she didn't, but she strayed from the party orthodoxy just often enough to create some space on her liberal flank. This shines through in the annual vote studies that CQ Roll Call has been conducting since the 1950s. Clinton's time in the Senate overlapped exactly with George W. Bush's time in the White House. She voted the way he wanted 252 times, and she opposed him 259 times, meaning she supported the Republican president 49% of the time. There were 4 Democratic senators who participated in a majority of those presidential support votes. 11 bucked Bush even more often than Clinton did. 36 took his side more frequently than she did on amendments, legislation, and confirmations that he cared about. As a result, the average in the caucus was 54%. By the way, Bernie Sanders, who was only a Vermont senator during Bush's final 2 years in office, supported him just 32% of the time. Sanders has reminded voters in the primaries about one Clinton vote more than any other, her joining most other Democratic senators in 2002 as a yes on authorizing the Iraq War. She was also a consistent vote for Bush on Homeland Security policy, but she routinely opposed Bush's conduct of the war, his economic policies, and many of his nominations. CQ Roll Call's other vote study, measuring party unity, assigns Clinton to the more emphatic edge of her party's liberal mainstream. When most Democrats voted one way and most Republicans did the opposite, she towed the party line on 1,341 votes and went against the grain just 49 times. That creates a 96.5% party unity score. Of those who were in office most of the time that she was, only 9 Democrats scored higher, and the average for Democratic senators was significantly lower at 88%. Clinton also has solid career approval ratings from the advocacy groups that are aligned with her party's base. 95% from the AFL-CIO, for example, and 90% from Americans for Democratic Action. On the other hand, she managed to side with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce on 46% of the votes it cared about, and she even backed the American Conservative Union 8% of the time. All in all, there was just enough moderation in Hillary Clinton's record to give Sanders and his allies fits, but there was also just enough to give independents, and even some Republicans, reason to believe that as president, she might move from the left to the middle once in a while.